Welcome! I'm Jakki Gioia, and I'm your guide on this journey into joy process. As part of this process, I am going to be hosting a segment called Inspiration Soup. Each week I'm going to make a different soup for different health reasons, and also to talk about a life topic related to the ingredients in the soup, the change of season, and what's current going on right now in the world. I will be interviewing guests as well, and I invite you to message me with any comments or requests that you might have. So today I'm going to be cooking up butternut squash soup, which is a good soup to warm you for this cold fall season that we're going into. And we're going to go right into the kitchen now, so please join me for some inspiration soup. So I'm here in the kitchen getting ready to make butternut squash soup. There are a lot of varieties of butternut squash soup, but mine is going to include various ingredients that are good for warming the body and strengthening the spirit. I chose the butternut squash soup for the purpose of being related to the metal element, which in Chinese medicine is related to the season of autumn. And just as the trees are undergoing change and losing their leaves, we are also undergoing change as the season goes on. We are always in the process of setting boundaries and letting things come and go in our life, just as the trees grow their leaves and then they fall. It's just a natural process of life where something has to go to make room for something else. So this season of autumn is all about what we take in and what we let go. And the ingredients that I've chosen for today are helpful in that way. The Chinese medicine is something that I've always been interested in, and I am a Jin Shin Do acupressurist, which is a type of mind-body acupressure that involves the theory of Chinese medicine, and I've been always interested in that as long as I can go back to childhood. So, and soup is one of my favorite things. So what better thing than to combine the cooking experience with all of the knowledge that the Chinese have given us about the elements of nature and the wonderful flavors of food. Now let's make some soup. We're going to start with, I've already chopped up 1 leek, and I have already roasted the butternut squash and 2 apples. So I cut up a butternut squash and 2, you could choose whatever apples you like. I've already roasted them at 450 degrees for about 20 minutes or until tender. And then we're going to process these to make them into a puree and then put them into the soup. But we're going to start with sauteing the leeks. Just going to turn the heat on first. First we got to turn on the heat in the kitchen. And this is smart balance. It's about a tablespoon. You can use whatever you like. If you'd like butter. I like to use an ingredient that has no trans fats. You could use your coconut oil, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, whatever floats your boat. So first we're going to get that all melted. You don't have to start with an oil or a fat to saute. You could just start right with broth, but I'm going to start with this. And I had a really big leek, so I think what I'm going, that didn't sound too good, did it? I had a big leek. But I'm going to actually use a little less than the huge leek that I had chopped up, because when I see how much of my other ingredients there are, I think this might be a little too overpowering to use all of this. So I wanted to just use your good judgment in that type of thing. So as we're building these flavors, we're just going to talk about how they relate to life. If you look at these base ingredients that we're using that create the base flavors, it's like we're creating a foundation for our soup. Just as when you're growing up, you're getting a foundation from your parents or your caretakers. So we're using the leeks as our foundation. They're very flavorful. They are in the onion family, and they will help to create this flavor that permeates the entire soup. So what you get from your caretakers are beliefs and ideas that carry you through life. So, but you can always decide if you'd like to change those in your lifetime. And the metal element in the season of fall is really a great time to be purging any negative beliefs that you think you may have, or beliefs that aren't serving you anymore. And you can't exactly take the leek out of the soup entirely, but you can always water things down, you know. So in the real world, it's a little bit more challenging to get rid of a physical thing like the ingredient in soup. But you get the idea. It really is about what your foundation is. What do you rely on when times get tough? What do you believe about life, or what's possible for you? And so we're going to take the water, which is our liquid, is going to pour that in. This is about 4 cups of water. Since the leeks are nice and tender now. And we're going to wait for that to come up to temperature, and we're going to add I have chicken bouillon here. It's better than bouillon, actually. You could use chicken broth or chicken stock. I do like to keep this on hand because it's really easy to just have that. It doesn't expire. So, well, it does have an expiration date, but... So once this comes up to temp, I'm going to add the bouillon. And the liquid, what is the liquid like? It is all of our lifeblood that carries us through. What is it that is in your blood that makes you you, that makes you interested in being here? What is it that wakes you up to go and do every day? It's like the thing that carries you through your life. Because the butternut squash is the sole ingredient aside from the apples, which are a supporting cast. But your butternut squash is really the star of the show, just like you're the star of your life. So this liquid is all of those things that, all those reasons why you like being here. What is it you like about life? And that's what carries you through life. And then we're going to add our spices in a little bit. And this is your personality. These are all of those character traits that make you different, and your looks, and all those interests that you have. That's what carries you through. That's what makes you spicy. And also I'm going to add some fresh thyme. Fresh thyme is an ingredient for strengthening your character. And in this wonderful book that I have, I'd like to share with you, it's Aromatherapy for Healing the Spirit. We have knowledge in there that talks about how thyme can strengthen you and help you to get through these emotional times. It also helps you with learning the difference between attachment and detachment. And that's one thing we're also going to talk about regarding the metal element. So we can just take a sprig of the thyme, and you can play with your quantities of your spices or of your special characteristics with your soup to make your soup more personal. And let those ingredients meld in there. And the broth is just about getting close to temp. So you use a teaspoon for every cup of water. This is 3 teaspoons, which is 1 tablespoon. And you don't have to be accurate with everything, right? It's always always about what you like and what you don't like. So just going to allow our soup to be whatever it is we want to be. You could also use vegetable broth, vegetable stock, vegetable bouillon. And while that's coming up to temp and cooking a little bit, I am going to process our butternut squash. Some of the good qualities of butternut squash that's related to the metal element and the fall season is the vitamin A ingredient. So vitamin A is very good for your hair, skin, and nails. And in relation to the metal element, it's all about your skin being able to stay in your own skin and not get into someone else's business, and how well we do that. The metal element is also related to respiration, because in Chinese medicine they relate the organs to specific elements. So the organ meridians that are associated with the metal element are the lung and large intestine. And the lungs are responsible for taking in the oxygen and processing out the carbon dioxide, just like it is taking in something good and beneficial to us and getting rid of something that isn't. So the large intestine, in working with the lung, is also about getting rid of the waste. What doesn't serve us? What doesn't serve our bodies anymore? What isn't helpful? So when we're talking about in relationship to our life, what are the things that we're holding on to that are precious to us versus the things that we're holding on to that aren't, that really should be our waste? So you might want to think about, what is it that I really need to let go of right now to allow for more precious things to come into my life, things that I might actually want more of. And that's what this time of the season is all about. So ponder that for a minute while I process this butternut squash into a puree. Okay. Smells yummy. Just going to add this to the soup, to our broth. The star of the show is now taking the stage. I know a little something about being a star of the show, as I have had experience in musical theater and performing and having leading roles. It's quite a wonderful experience, having a lot of fun being a cast member, performing a role that makes someone feel an emotion, and that is one characteristic of my soup that makes me who I am. Scrape it off. So the butternut squash also has a good dose of potassium, which is good for the heart, and it's also good for muscles and relieving muscle cramps. So you don't just have to eat a banana to get potassium. You can have a butternut squash. So another thing you can be thinking about at this time of year is, what do I want to have more of in my life? So if you're going to be letting go of something, you want to think about what's going to make you happy, what's going to bring you up, what feels good. Whenever you have a decision to make, it's always a good idea to ask that question. What's going to really bring me energy? What's going to enliven me? What's going to make me feel good about being here? What's going to give me more of that juicy broth to keep me going. And if you're constantly in a cycle of doubting and wondering, what should I be doing, being frustrated, not knowing how to get ahead, not feeling like you're connected to others, not feeling that you're getting the support that you need, these are all real things that you can really make sense of if you're going within and you're asking these questions. What is really going to make me happy? Because ultimately it is up to us to make ourselves feel good, and it's not anyone else's responsibility. But we often, need others to help us find that way, to validate our feelings and why we feel, right about something. And it's, especially with the politics the way they are now, we're all leaning, one way or another, and it's so important to have those ideas for yourself, to make sure that you know who you are and what is good for you, and always stand by that. And then having that as a foundation, it can carry you through your life. So not that we shouldn't need anyone, but that we are able to stand on our own and make these decisions and judgments on our own. And then we will likely find people who resonate with us, who have the same ideas, so that we can feel validated and supported. So just a few more words of food for thought. So as we're getting the soup up to temperature here, I'm also going to add the spices that I put together. And the spice blend that I made here, I did a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a teaspoon of coriander, and a quarter teaspoon nutmeg, and a quarter teaspoon of ginger. So we have these fiery flavors that are going to actually help to break those bonds down that might be holding you back from being able to open yourself up to someone. The coriander is a great ingredient for having the self-confidence to be able to go out and maybe speak to someone that you might not normally speak to. It's a great way to bring that fiery essence up, that ability to be sociable and excited about life. It gives you that energy. So we're adding some of those spices to it. So if you're too strong in a metal element, because as we are going through life, we go through different phases, and if your metal element is too strong, you might be the kind of person who's more contracted and doesn't let things out, doesn't really share, has ability making connections or making bonds with people. So anything that's going to help with your fire element is going to help to melt some of that metal and allow you to come out of yourself and be stronger and be more fun, just spicy, fiery. It's always a little bit more fun that way. So we're going to add that to the soup. And I'm also going to add some orange juice. I have a cup of orange juice here. I'm going to actually just add maybe a half a cup at a time to get the flavor that I want. Again, this is your soup, so you get to make it and make it however that you'll be happy with it. Your life is your bowl of soup. I hope that in the grand scheme of things, when you look back and you sit down with that bowl of soup, that you are able to really sit down and enjoy it, because that's what life is about. Enjoying it, every sip, every mouthful at a time, and finding your way, finding ways to appreciate it, to appreciate others, to feel some level of enjoyment, and hopefully that's all a healthy way, and not indulging in cookies, crackers, candy, alcohol, drugs, you know what I mean. It's always about finding the goodness in life that's pure. And this is your journey into joy, and I hope that you will reach out to me if you feel like you need to process out anything that's bothering you. If you have questions, if you have something that you would like to address in terms of your body and pain relief, please contact me, and the links are all below. Have a great day, and I'm going to sit down and enjoy my bowl of soup when it's done, and I hope that you are also going to enjoy it when you make yours. Ciao for now, and remember, be nice to yourself.